we're here with
David.
Nice to meet you, David. We got first place law in our side event. Honestly, the way this man's was playing, he definitely could have made it to top 8 yesterday in the main event. If you want to talk us through what happened real quick.
So yeah, unfortunately yesterday I went 7-2. I won 7 in a row. Got to the top table, lost to a kid due to time. I forgot to ask the time. It was crowded. It was all my fault. So I could have won in the next 2 rounds, but because it was time, I got him down to 0 life like me, and then they called it. So they were like, oh, less cards in deck, and you're gonna see that this deck draws a lot. So I had less cards in deck and lost.
Gotcha.
After that loss, I shuffled my deck, not great, because then I play a Luffy player on table 6, and then I Bonnie whiff, and then I Bonnie whiff against a Luffy, and that was it. And then I went 7-2. I needed to win 1 more to top, and then my 2 tiebreakers lost their matches, so that's why I got pushed down.
Oh, that sucks.
But still got the shopper from yesterday because I was definitely top 64 for sure. And then I had to redeem myself today.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you didn't know, he also won a bunch of side events too, right?
Oh yeah, dude. I was playing those little side events of 8-man tournaments, and I just went undefeated every time. I got a pre-release crocodile.
Nice.
For I said $20 because you needed to win two times.
Yeah.
So $10 every time you play. So $20. Got the pre-release croc, and then I sold it for $80.
Sheesh. Plus.
Yep. And then I won. What other side event I played? Oh no, I played another pod for my friend so he can get his Shanks film deck. So I won
just
3.
Doing it for his friends, bro. All right, so if you guys haven't noticed, he has some very interesting picks. I've always played Law in a very different way. I've tried to steer away from some of the picks that he's done, but he's found amazing success. So we're gonna go through it, starting with the 1-drops.
Yep. So 1-drops, we all know it's Bonnie, but as you can see, he's only played 3 Bonnies.
This man is mad.
Main reason is because the deck is tight, and you're gonna see that a lot of the cards here, you need to be very consistent. You could play 4 Bonnies and then just 2 Momos, or 4 Bonnies and just 2 Namis, but we all know we can't play Nami less than normally 4, but we'll talk about that later. But 3 Bonnies is enough. You'll see them. You're gonna mainly Bonnie, as you know, is gonna get your blockers, and it's gonna keep your deck more consistent.
Right.
After that, we'll go down to Momo. 3 Momos. Momos is one of the MVPs in the deck because you can get all your Wano countries. We're talking about Otama's, main babe, and then you're talking about our other events that we'll talk about later, but also mainly the Cat Viper and Ezo, so you can play the kid match very well. You play 3 as well. You could bump up to 4, but I think 4 is too much on Momo. 3 is just right. You can argue 2, but I think 3 is perfect so you can see him and play him accurately.
Right.
After that, you're probably gonna say this deck is trash because I play only 3 Namis. Nami is actually your worst searcher in this style deck. You only have around 15 to 16 hits because Nami can't hit herself. So if you play Nami, if you do whiff, it's mainly from Nami in this version of the deck. The reason you play Nami is because you're searching for your pistols and shoppers mainly. Pistols to go against the kid matchup, but also your Bonnie will hit the pistol, so either way it hits. But it's just to keep you going, and then you're just gonna use her to mainly keep getting your blockers and then drawing more cards later when I talk about it. So those are your main 3 searchers, and you need to play all 3 in this version. After that, staple 4 shoppers. You have to play 4 shoppers. Staple. Right. 4 Beach, Capone, right? You have to play them. That's already 8 blockers there.
Absolutely.
You have to play 4 Otamas. I mean, we got Otama with Robin combo, kill 7-drop kids, kill your Hawkins, kill those Okikus. I mean, what else can you ask for? So you have to play Otama at 4.
Agreed.
After that, this is where you can change it. You can, instead of playing the 2 killer blockers, you can play something else. I went for the 2 killer blockers just because I like more blockers in my deck. That makes me at right now 8 plus 2 is 10. But the reason I like killer mainly is because you can put a Dawn under him and make you draw when you block. And people are gonna feel bad attacking when you have a Dawn under them. So what they do, they rest them. Rest them, attack them, fine with me. You're not resting my Okiku, you're not resting my Robin. right?
Absolutely. There was actually an interesting point in the beginning of your first game where your opponent had to choose between Bonnie and Okiku. And it was like, what do I rest? Do I get rid of the value or the threat to my board? And he ended up not being able to clear the Okiku. And kind of from there, it was very hard for him to come back into the game.
Exactly. I think blockers are very important in this meta in OPO1. That's why I chose for it. And because you're drawing with him blocking, doing 2 and 1, or they're using him as a target for anything. So that's why I prefer the 2 killers. We can always talk about other cards that you can think about to replace those 2. Other than that, 3 Cat Vipers. Now, I call Oneka Mamushi, I call him Cat Viper. So some can argue that you can play him at 4. That's fine when, that could be right here, right?
Right.
I think 4 Cat Vipers will be beautiful. I think he's very good in this meta. I think 3 is enough. With 3 Momos, you're searching, you're going to see him. You're going to see him exactly the right time, but you can't play less than 3.
Right,
Either 3 or 4 that you have to pick there. And there's nothing to explain other than you're resting your opponent's killers, your opponent's Okikus, your opponent's Robins. You're going to win your Zorro and Kid match. 2 Ezos. So that's another argument. An argument is like, why don't you do 3 Ezos and 2 Cat Vipers instead? Because it's a 2K counter and does the same thing.
Right.
Well, it feels bad to play 3. When you play her for 3, sometimes your Dawn is very specific, especially in the early game to get to mid game. So if you start seeing too much Ezos instead of Cat Vipers, sometimes it will hesitate to play her, and when you do play her, it does not feel as good. The efficiency is not as great. You have to do it when you have to do it. It feels bad, but you'll do it. But mainly I use her as a backup Cat Viper, and then in the late game, I will toss her for my 2K counters.
Absolutely.
2 Robins. Another argument, you can go 3, but I think 2 is plenty because you have 2 Okikus. I use them as pairs because I think this slot you can go either way. But let me give you the rationale why 2-2 split. 2 Robins, you're targeting everything. You're targeting blockers, you're targeting with Otama combo, you're targeting the 7-drop kid with 2 Otamas. You can actually do 1 Otama. There's been games where I have Robin established, they can't get rid of her. I play Otama, I'll shambles the Otama, and then I'll play Otama again. Now the 7-drop is a 3K swing, 5K, you get rid of the 7K.
Absolutely.
So with 1 Otama and 1 Robin established, you're hitting so much.
You can definitely do some nasty things. I've Otama pistol the Shanks in my time, so.
So I think 2 is plenty. I think 2 does what you needed to do. The reason I don't like her more than 2 is because she's only at 4K, and it feels bad when you play against Kid, and you drop Nico at 3, and then they drop Cat Viper, put 1 Dawn on their leader, and they're swinging 6 to your 4, and you have no blockers.
Right.
It's easier to defend Okiku versus Robin, but she is a counter. Okiku, the reason I play 2 Okikus, I think it's a must because the main targets, you want to start resting their opponent because you're not really want to attack their life, right, in this version of this deck. So Okiku is resting the key cards. If they swing, you already know you're swinging with Okiku and resting another card. So it gives you more value in the long run, but also it targets the Hawkins and the Queens.
Right.
And the Hawkins is and also anything else under like Okiku and Robins too, right? But mainly the Hawkins and Queens because it feels bad when you have a Robin out and you don't see Otama or you don't see your pistols. So then what you have Okiku.
Right.
So Okiku, rest those Hawkins, rest those Queens, and it's gonna help you get, because as long as you get rid of the opponent's Okikus and Hawkins, you should be winning. 4 loss. You have to play 4 loss. I think everybody talks about it. I don't think I have to go through 4 loss. But let me talk to you about the spice.
Okay, so this blew my mind, guys. So get ready.
3 Yamatos, guys. The MVP of the deck as well. So we got Tama and Yamato as MVPs. So I guess we'll have to talk about how I played the game. But the way you play this deck, I call this draw law. And what you do is you're basically let yourself get hit, search your cards, draw, keep drawing with your killer blockers, keep drawing with your Namis, shambles your Nami, play the Nami again, don't even have to play other cards until you see you have enough cards in hand that you can defend yourself, and then you see your girl Yamato. When Yamato's on the board, and if you're playing the game correctly, your opponent's gonna have 5 or less cards in hand, while you should have more than 10.
Right.
or close to 10. So, you know, if you learn the game, it may be 8, 9, but more than 10, 9 times out of 10. And then when you drop Yamato, you bring her out, and you have to bring her out smartly. But you basically bring her out, bring one out. They have no cards in hand. You swing 5K to your leader. They take 2 banishes. If they have cards in hand, swing 9K. And what else you do? You defend her with your life. You do everything, your 2K counters, your blockers, you're going to defend her.
Right.
And if they don't swing at her, they swing at your life, you have 2 life, take it.
Yeah,
Who
you're
cares?
taking the draw.
Draw more cards to defend this Yamato. But you got to defend the Yamato because she's going to add pressure. They have a 7-drop kid, who cares? Put 9 on her, swing. They're either going to take the hit, defend it, waste more cards. Eventually, they're going to have no cards in hand. They're going to start banishing. And when they banish, the triggers don't activate and they don't get cards in hand.
Right.
So you're drawing more cards with just one Dawn drawing because they're so focused on this Yamato.
Right.
They're not going to attack the Bonnie. They're not going to attack the Momo. You keep doing your thing on the side, get more cards in hand, and keep pressuring.
That's
This is what
exactly how you won your final game of the day.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Kid is the easiest match in my opinion with this deck. Yesterday I faced 5 kids, only lost to 1 on time, and beat the other 4. And then today I played 2 or 3 kids, and I beat them as well.
Right.
It's no challenge when you play it the way. And then what's gonna happen? The kids are gonna learn and be like, oh, we're not gonna attack you then.
Right.
We're not gonna let you draw a lot of cards. We're gonna play board control. Well, guess what? If you board control me, I'm still gonna win eventually because I draw more. I can search more. I search more consistently than you. I can then shamble, play my searcher again, draw more cards. Eventually, I'm gonna outdraw them and then pressure them with the Yamato where they have no choice but to defend.
Right. So you're saying that this deck draws a lot. There's another spicy card that's not even the Yamato. Please tell me, because I've shat on this card too.
All right, let's just jump to the event cards real quick, and you're gonna see here where you see what I call Pot of Greed. It's called You Can Be My Samurai. I've been playing this card since I think the second day playing One Piece. I think it's a must. I used to be a Yu-Gi-Oh player, so you can see the Dark Magician mat.
Right.
Pot of Greed was a must back in the day. This is a must when this deck comes out. If you're a Law player, you're not playing this card, in my opinion, you're playing Law wrong.
Guys, I've had it wrong this whole time.
I used to play 3 of in this deck, but because I knew it was gonna be a lot of kids, I dropped it down to 2 because with 2 is still plenty. This card counters Kaido and it counters Kid. It counters every deck. Because what's gonna happen is you play control versus control. What you do is a very easy combo. You have to use this card very precisely. And it's not even when you're winning, it's not when you're losing. As long as you're just playing the game, this card will come up. You have enough Dawn, you're gonna go ahead and play Nami Otama, right? Nami, you search 5, hopefully you hit Chopper, you play Chopper. That's already 3 Dawn, right? Right here.
Right.
What are you gonna do with Nami now? Probably nothing. What are you gonna do with Otama? Probably nothing, right? So what you do is you do 1 cost, rest your Nami and Otama, you're drawing 2 cards.
Plus.
You're plussing right there 1. And then you're what, 7, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 Dawn. You have 6 Dawn. What if you have a Bonnie? You can even have a Nico Robin, play Nico, play a killer blocker. Shambles 2, grab your rest in Nami, play Law, grab your Otama, play Nami again. Now you plus again. Now you're plussing 2 instead of going even when most Law players do. Because most Law players gain advantage, same as Kid, by when these guys survive. And if they play, what's the ninja guy go again? Raizo. If they play Raizo, they have to survive. In this way, you don't have to survive. You can just play your cards how you're playing it and plus.
Right.
Now, what if you're losing very hard? You should not be losing very hard. I mean, unless you brick where you draw the 8-cost Kid and your 4 lost the first 5 in your mulligan, I don't think you can play the deck anyways, right? Nobody,
right.
But the chance of you drawing that probably not gonna happen. So as long as you play the game and you use this correctly, you can Otama, make the 7-drop Kid a 3K, swing with Robin, like I said, and then you have 2 Otamas out. Go ahead and play You Can't Be My Samurai. Rest those 2 Otamas. Oh, you have a Law because you draw 2 cards. You hit a Law finally. Shambles them. Oh, if you don't have the Law, who cares? Shambles one of them. Play a Yamato.
Right.
You think they're gonna hit? Okay, hit my Otama. I have another one in hand. I already got the value from the Otama. if you can't, if you, this is the best way to do it. If you do it, and if you don't, you have other cards. It doesn't matter. The point being, I already got the value. They swing there is a waste of a swing. I play a Yamato. I play a Law. I can always shambles too, and screw it, play a Bonnie, then search with Bonnie.
Right. There were so many times that I saw today that like you were able to have your Bonnie on the board as like a taunt, and it's still stuck on the board because there were so many different threats. They were trying to kill you. They didn't know what to deal with. It was ridiculous. I didn't want to be your opponent, that's for sure.
Dude, it comes to a point that you have so much cards in hand that it doesn't matter. You're just waiting your turn because you're not even playing the game. You're playing your own game. You're just playing by yourself, drawing your cards, having a great time. And then once I hit 0 life, that's when I start playing legit. That's when I go in, play 2 Yamatos, have 2 Yamatos on board and stuff. I love to be at 0 life, except when you play red.
Yeah.
When you play red, stay at 1 life. So we just jumped there. Let me tell you about another spicy thing is Usopp. Most people play Brook. Brook is nice because they're like, Dave, you know, Captain Kid, you have a Captain Kid. Why don't you play Brook? You can play him at 8. I don't think that's good. Unless you're, the only time that's good, in my opinion, is if you're winning. I mean, we have 3 blockers out. I'm at 8 Don. I'll play him, play Brook. Okay, I get it.
Right.
But what is the chances? We're talking about we're playing guys that are playing Cat Vipers, Izos, Okikus. They're going to start killing your blockers. If you drop him when you have no blockers, you have to have a specific moment, and you need to have both of them in hand at the same time. I don't like that combo. I can see why it can be good, but I'd rather have better cards that will make me win most card games. So I had options, right? Brook is still good because you can do the Brook and Luffy combo. That's also a good hit. But then I'm like, why not Usopp? Because when I play blue, and blue purple Croc, you play this guy out, they always have to answer him, and if they don't, they're automatically gonna lose. Because you can tell when they're gonna love beams. You can tell, well, blue purple Croc, you know they're gonna play events. Yeah. So you play Usopp, you swing with your Yamato, they protect themselves 9, they draw their cards. I'm drawing too.
We're both drawing today.
We're both gonna draw. You keep playing your events, I'm drawing. And eventually, it's gonna be to a point. I remember one game with Blue Purple Croc, I had 25 cards in hand. Not lying. Just because I'm drawing on my turn and I'm drawing on his turn.
That's disgusting.
I'm just saying, they had a choice. They were, at one point, he played Mihawk. He was like, man, I need to return that Usopp, but your Yamato is such a threat. Return Yamato, that's fine, because in this deck, when a card gets returned to the bottom deck, you're seeing it. Right. So it's very important when you put the bottom 5, know how you put it in order, because you're gonna see your deck 9 times out of 10, guarantee at least once.
Absolutely, guys. That's a very big tip. I always tell you guys, make sure that you're ordering, because there are games where you will go through that deck, maybe even twice.
But in this deck, it's guaranteed. You're gonna see your deck at least once in a fast game. In a regular game, you have to see at least twice or 3 times. If you don't see your whole deck twice or 3 times in a normal match, then you're not doing the cards yet, right? You're not moving the game how it's supposed to be. And it takes time, but you will get it, trust me. After that, man, 1 Monkey D. Luffy Rush. He's a good card, he's a good ender. You swing 2 with the Yamatos. They have no life left. Finish off with the Luffy because you can bounce Yamato to Luffy. Right. End the game. Once they have no life, Yamato's really job is done. So you go with your rushers. So Luffy's a must. Zorro. The only reason I play Zorro is because of Kaido. With the Kaido match, you have Yamato. If you see Yamato, you're gonna go with the same strategy. Draw your cards. Don't lose value. Keep drawing your cards. So by the time they 10 drop you, you have 20 cards in hand. Just do it again.
I would be arguing against this man right now if I didn't see it happen in real life.
Yeah, today I played 4 Kaidos.
4 Kaidos.
Played 4 Kaidos, destroy them all. So it's just how it goes. You and if they don't see Oni, then you just go the regular way how you've been doing it. Rush them down. That's what I did on my semifinals. Right. Semifinals. He didn't see Oni. So.
It was like a machine gun, guys.
So I 5-5, protected my Zorro. He tried to swing a Zorro, blocked it, and then I just, you have the basic combo where you have 2 laws, 1 on field, 1 on hand, swing with 5, swing with 7, shambles, bring it here, swing with 5 again, and just rinse and repeat.
Needless to say, the Kaido player had no cards in hand. They were gone. They were non-existent.
And if they wanted to 10 drop me, that's fine. He had 1 life.
Yep.
And I had so much cards in hand, and I had this Luffy in hand. Because again, not only that I'm playing the Kaido matchup, rushing, I'm still drawing my cards.
Right.
You're still gonna play draw. Now I won't have my more than 10 cards in hand. I think I had like 9 or 8 the whole match.
Right.
But it's because I'm more focusing on the rushing. But you can still draw to keep on tempo. Keep doing You Can't Be My Samurai. I played that on him twice. And then lastly, your kid. Now, why I'm only playing 1, I think you only need 1. Yeah, I only play 1 every game max. He's not a counter. I don't like to see him in my hand early. Unless I'm playing green, that's okay. You're going to see your whole deck. So even with 1, you will see him unless he's in your life. And even if he's in your life, they're going to swing eventually.
Yeah.
If you're playing against kid, you want to be at 1 or 0 life. So you're going to see him. If you're playing against Luke. And then my counteract is you do never play him against red or against red-green law. If you see him with red or red-green law, you put him in the bottom of the deck. Don't pick him up unless your opponent has no cards in hand.
Okay.
You will lose tempo. You play him for 8, they're gonna kill it next turn. You lost tempo, even though you have 4 blockers out. Other than those 2 matchups, yeah, I love to see him.
Okay.
But I don't have to. That's the beauty of this deck.
Right.
So when I see him against blue, I'm winning more. When I'm seeing against green, I win more. And most of the time with green, I don't even have to play him.
Okay. So if you were to suggest like a cut if you didn't want to play ACOS, could you, or do you prefer having that safety net?
I like the safety net, especially when there's card games don't go always the same way, even though you basically made the deck statistically to hit every time.
Right.
This is a safety net if for some reason there's just a random player that wants to just doesn't care, they don't care if they have 1 card left in hand, they just want to swing out, you're gonna have 0 life.
Right.
You want to make sure you don't get cheese.
Right.
So then you just drop the 8-cost kid.
Gotcha.
Yamatos. Sometimes when I play Yamatos out and I don't want him to die, I just drop the 8-cost kid. I just swing 5 with Yamato, drop the 8-cost kid. They have to answer the 8-cost kid. My Yamatos are safe now.
Right, guys, because you know how dangerous Luffy can be behind ACOS kid being protected. So imagine Banish.
Exactly. When I play 8-cost kid and have Yamato out, that's just you winning more.
Right.
There's no way you're gonna lose that board. And even if they answer the Yamato because they jet pistol it, let's just say I don't know, you're playing red or red-green law, they jet pistol this, you still have this. You have momos to get another one. Or by the time, hopefully you have 2 in hand.
Okay.
Radical beams and pistols.
Last 2 events.
So, radical beams, I play, as you can see, a little bit more defensive. I'm playing 14 blockers, 4, 2, and 8. So with the 2 radical beams, those are my 4K counters. You always want to be in low life, so you're gonna be at 2 life right away. So your radical beams are gonna go live. And it makes your kid a 12K, it makes your Yamato's a 9K. And most people swing 7 or 9. So with that, you just keep one down open, you scare them to not swing or they overswing, or when they mess up, you just radical beam them. They don't sometimes account for the radical beam in law decks. So it also throws them off. So I think it's a must. I think minimum 2. If you don't play, just try it out. I really like the card. Pistol, 2 or 3. The reason, like I said, I bumped it up to 3 because I knew there's gonna be a lot of kid players. You want to play to your tournament. That's just a basic card game rule. If you know your locals are all kid, bump that up to 3. If your locals is all red, green, law, aggro, then don't play this deck. But anything else, Zorro, Luffy, Doflamingo, Croc, and kid, easy match. You're gonna see. But pistol 3 because of the kid players. You already know how deadly it is. Otama pistol the 7 drops. Otama pistol the 8 drops. Pistol the Hawkins. Pistol the Kiku, man. I remember I didn't have nothing to rest, but I had pistol. And I know I run 3, so I'm like, all right, I'll use 1 for the Okiku. And I gained tempo just by doing that. Just by killing their Okiku, my Yamatos are safe.
Absolutely.
Right, because he's a 5. You don't want this. You never drop Yamato if they have an Okiku out on the field. You can drop a Yamato on the field if they have a Hawkins in the field, but you never swing.
Right.
Because you already know your Yamato's gonna get targeted. So you just put them there for pressure, get rid of their Hawkins with pistol. So 3 pistols a must is a must against kid
A green meta.
right? If not, 2 is perfectly fine. I played 2 pistols for the longest, and then I did 3 draws. If you're playing kid meta, go ahead and jump up to 3 and 2 draws.
Got it.
And that's a deck list, guys.
Any final thoughts? I did want to ask you, how did you feel? Because I play a one of Hawkins, and I liked having that. Do you think that's a worthy inclusion or not?
I used to play one of Hawkins. What did I get rid of for him? So in the beginning of this, when I was doing a lot of moving around, and I changed this deck all the time by 1 card. 1 card gets moved around. I used to play 2 Rush Luffys,
Right.
and then I realized I didn't need him, so I took my second Rush Luffy for Hawkins. Hawkins beautiful, but what's happening? I kept whiffing the Namis,
Right.
so I wanted another red card that was more useful than the second Luffy Rush, and not a green.
Right.
And the only way I can get Hawkins in here is to get rid of a green. But if I look at my greens, I'm like, I can't touch them. I can't bring this down to 4. You can argue to play 2 Yamatos,
Right.
but you can see that Yamato is a better card because it does more. It fears your opponent. It makes them block. It makes them waste cards. Hawkins, they're like, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pressure. I get it. No, don't get me wrong. Hawkins, when somebody has 0 life and 1 blocker, amazing. I get it. I am a Hawkins fanboy. I used to play a lot of Hawkins. But I just realized I'd rather have a 3rd Yamato than a Hawkins, so I couldn't excuse that. So the other argument was putting 3 laws instead of 4. But
I don't think anybody would. I
No.
think the deck tech would end it here if there was only 3.
Exactly. I think I would have lost the game. We all know how valuable
Laws.
4 law is over Hawkins. You can't touch that. Okiku, you can't touch that. You need to protect your Yamatos. Get rid of those Okikus. Board control. Hawkins can only do it when the opponent is rested. If nobody's swinging,
Right.
what is Hawkins doing? If you're gonna play Hawkins, you need Strassor at least, or more Okikus to get it going.
Right.
It's just too much investment in this type of deck. You can argue maybe get rid of your kid then, because like I said, it's more of a defensive style and play more aggressive. You can argue your kid for another Luffy if you want, but I like that one. You play this against blue, play this against green, you're gonna catch up, you're gonna win if
Right.
you're playing that bad. It's a safety net. Hawkins just makes you win more.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for this deck tech, man.
Of course, man. Till next time.
See ya.